internet brings comic fans around the world into one comic community. We support the just pay and recognition of these comic creators' comic fam. Because comics are for everyone. It's 10 p.m. Eastern, live from the United States to Australia. This is the Not Near Mint Show.
Welcome to Not Near Mint, everybody. It is Wednesday, New Comic Book Wednesday. It's the beginning of the new year, but halfway through the month, it is January the 19th. So we're going to get right on into it. We have Ryan K. Lindsay here, fresh off of Everfrost. We have books right here. We got a big fan with Comics on the Mind, and we're going to just get right into it. How are you doing, Ryan?
I am fantastic. It is a lovely middle of the day down here, and I really appreciate you all having me on the show. It's an honor.
Thanks for joining us. We're glad that it's summer where you are, and it's not freezing like most of the people from throughout this country.
Yes, in fact, this is natural light just streaming in through the office window as I sit here, gloriously lighting me up. It's a nice day. It's actually not too hot today. It's just a really, really lovely day, as they all are in Australia. Surely, I don't know. I think I'm sure years ago Australia was known as like this beautiful beach country, but I feel like over the last few years we're sort of known for like bushfires and other horrific events, and it's probably not as glorious as it sounds anymore. But we're doing all right.
I'm in California, and trust me about the wildfire.
Yes.
I know them very well.
Because I'm a teacher by day, I've actually taught a unit about Californian bushfires for like the last few years, because the data on it is like phenomenally interesting. If you look at like the top 10 largest bushfires and how they're just like, not the last 10, but they're all in recent years, and getting kids to try to like sift through that data and work out why is that happening, and just watching little light bulbs in the room as kids sort of go, oh, okay, we can see maybe a handful of reasons why it might be escalating, and sort of drawing.
I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you two reasons. One, power plant shortages. So just random shorts, and fucking gender reveals.
It's a boy. Oh, crap, we set the forest on fire again.
What destroyed the earth? Your goddamn gender reveals.
I'm not even sure if we have gender reveals in Australia, and I'm hoping nobody links me to any, because I kind of just want to live in hope that we don't have them down here. But I do know there are enough people everywhere that do that sort of thing that I'm sure we do. But dear Lord, they just seem like preposterously large and extravagant and, well, dangerous, really. It's
another excuse for people to spend money, unfortunately.
Yeah, really. When you've got too much of it, what do you do, really? I mean, you buy comics is what you do. That's like the obvious answer, right?
Yeah. If you care about the climate and don't have gender reveals, that's all I'm saying.
If you have money, you go and spend $3.36 million on a page that Mike Zeck did for Secret Wars.
Or you just,
that's one choice.
Yeah. You just use your words. I'm having a boy. Done.
Yeah.
That's enough.
No forest fires.
You know what?
Bushfires.
Lady, Kirk, Ryan, this is news that I just found out today. My brother is having another baby. I mean, not him, but his wife, Michelle. But I guess I'm going to be an uncle for the second time.
Oh, nice.
Congratulations.
Never seen the first kid.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's the worst one. There's so much family separation going on.
I live in Washington.
Yeah, what do you do?
Oh, yeah, they're close to me.
Zoom.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you try to keep them in frame as you get the camera going. I don't know, like I don't even use Facebook anymore, so my like photo sharing, I really have to make a point of like sending my family pictures of the kids, otherwise they just completely miss out on like 18 months of what they look like, and then go, oh dear Lord, they've grown a foot.
They're in school already?
Yeah. They're like, what happened? Why is he sitting in a car? Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, it starts to get a bit nuts. But yeah, I figured, I don't know. It all just seems to whip across so quickly. that you do your best with these things. I was thinking though, along the lines of gender reveals, why don't we have big, like when people announce comics, why aren't they doing it in ways that start like, forest fires? Why aren't we touting our stories as large as we would our children? I mean, anyone can have a child mostly. Like it's a fairly common occurrence. I won't say anybody, but not everybody can make
thrust.
comics.
You're done. Hey, baby, 9 months later.
Yeah, it's a fairly streamlined process. Was making a comic's pretty tricky. I'd like to see some people having some huge comic reveals, but I suppose putting out a few tweets is probably safer. So maybe we should just stick to that.
Different kind of fire. You start there.
That's good. Yeah.
See what I did there?
Try to avoid those too.
Yeah.
Just keep it low key at all times. Yeah.
So starting out the interview here, I have a good question. How did you get working on Everfrost? And even more so, how did you get working with Black Mask Studios to begin with?
I'll go through the Black Mask question first, which was Beautiful Canvas was a pitch I put together with Sammy Cavella, who is the artist on Everfrost as well. Sammy and I had worked on a book called CHUM at Comics Tribe, which was a 3-issue surf noir miniseries, which I loved doing with him. And just working with Sammy was a dream. Like the dude is just amazing. He's talented. He's a gent. He's everything you want in a collaborator. So while we were doing that, we also ran 3 Kickstarter campaigns for a series we did called Dear Editor, which is about the editor of a newspaper who's also a deer, and so has the animals. And so we took a silly pun like that, and we turned it into this fairly straight crime story. So we got to work on that for a while. And then after that, like I knew I wanted to just keep working with Sammy. Like the last decade of my life has just been, how do I keep luring Sammy into more stories? And so we put together a pitch for Beautiful Canvas, which is a story about a hit woman, Lon Isley, who is contracted to kill a small child, and in the same week finds out her girlfriend's pregnant and has this crisis of like, do I create life or end it? What am I doing? Like, maybe I don't like this job. Maybe I don't like this job, this killing this child. And so we put this, I think 7 pages in the cover and what have you, all the usual pitch stuff together. And Black Mask has online submissions, or did at the time. And we just submitted through the online portal. And as I would expect, I submitted it and thought, well, I won't hear anything back, because you never do. And shockingly, about a week later, Matt Pizzolo, who runs most of the comics part of Black Mask, reached out to me and was like, hey, I saw your pitch. He said, I read Negative Space, which was a book that I did at Dark Horse with Owen Gianni. And he was like, I really dug that. I'd love to chat to you about this pitch. And so short story is, Sammy and I ended up making Beautiful Canvas at Black Mask. I love that miniseries. And so as we're winding up on Beautiful Canvas, my brain is churning over, like, what do I do next with Sammy? What are we going to work on? I never want to let this collaboration go. And so we eventually, I don't think we put pitch pages together. I was just chatting to Pizzolo about like what I'd be doing next. And so Beautiful Canvas is wrapping up, and I said, look, I want to do this thing called Eternal, which was a graphic novel with Eric Zavansky on art. Pizzolo was kind enough not only just to pick that book up, but to let us do it in like a gorgeous European wider format. And we had this really cool paper stock on it. It was really, really awesome as a project. And I said, also, I want to work with Sammy again on a follow-up project called Everfrost. And I had a full synopsis and what have you, but we hadn't done any real art yet. And based on that, Pizzolo was like, yep, definitely interested on that. Let's just start going through some motions and let's make this happen. And so that was years ago. So I'm talking probably 2017. And so it just took a long time to wrap it up, because as we were working on it, or starting to work on it, Sammy got asked by, I'll see if I get the timeline right, he was asked by Christian Ward to illustrate Machine Gun Wizards over at Dark Horse for him. And I was like, look,
I remember that.
Christian Ward is he did a variant cover for Beautiful Canvas 1. He's a good bloke, good mate. I said, well, Christian Ward's a huge name as well and a great talent. I said, you've been working with my tired Australian ass for a few years now. I said, branch out, like go do this book with him. It's a good payday, but it's a good experience as well. And so he went and did that. And then as that was wrapping up, Saladin Ahmed was doing a book at Boom called Abbott. and they'd asked Sammy to work on that. And I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, we were just sort of in a bit of a holding pattern with Everfrost, but he went and did that. And I was like, this is great. Go and build more of your name, build more of your craft. And so eventually, you know, when you work with like one of your best friends in the industry, I feel like you can be fairly like lenient with these things. I don't know. I guess I call it a privileged position. I have a day job, so I'm not sweating deadlines or invoices in a way where I need to pay the bills necessarily. So I sort of said to Sammy, look, I don't mind. And Everfrost is a Ryan K. Lindsay, Sammy Cavella book. It'll wait until Ryan K. Lindsay and Sammy Cavella are ready. So we did, and to Sammy's credit, every time there was like a pause on like a script page coming in or something from another project, he'd dive back into what we were doing. And then eventually, once the pandemic originally hit, I was going to say last year, but year before now, in 2020, he had some time on his hands and just thundered through what was left of the story. And we always knew we wanted to have the full story sort of told, though, so that we could release the book in decent time so that we wouldn't have delays. And so, yeah, then we launched in, I guess it was the middle of last year, maybe early. I forget the dates. But yeah, we managed to get all 4 issues of Everfrost out, and it's a book that I'm so in love with, probably because I sat with it for, I guess, from idea to, you know, the trade paperback should be coming out next month. There's been some supply chain issues along the way, but that's the plan. So it's been about half a decade I've been living with Van Louise and this strange world and landscape in which she lives. And it just came out beautiful. Like, you just look at, I mean, Sammy's art I don't think he's ever done anything that wasn't spectacular. And Lauren Aff on colors over him was phenomenal as an art team, and Jim Campbell doing our letters. It's just one of those books that I feel was exactly what we wanted it to become. So yeah, that was sort of how I got in with Black Mask, and then the progression to getting Everfrost out, which was a really cool ride.
Nice.
Yeah,
Serendipitous.
Yeah, it was good. I totally agree. Like, I think you two did a phenomenal job taking the concept of like fantasy and sci-fi and just mending them so well where it just seems like it's one genre in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sort of that matching up of genres is something I find really interesting, because you can sort of then you find tropes between two of them that sort of have never stood side by side in different ways. And so I just kind of like that aesthetic. I don't know whether it's just from growing up, you know, through the 80s, where you'd have something like Blade Runner that is like sort of hardcore noir, but it's sci-fi, or whether it's evolving to something like Alien that is, you know, horror but sci-fi, or something like Aliens, which is like full-on action movie but sci-fi. And so you find the ways to like get these two great tastes that taste great together, specifically for like the story that you want to tell. But I also think there's an element of like sci-fi is such a cool genre to play with, because it gives you sort of any opportunity, and you get to sort of like, you get to write your own reality in there, so that you can not make up things as you need them in a way to like solve plot points, but make up things as you sort of just want to see them in the story. Like, you got to make stories and books and comics that you want to read. And I want to see stuff that's kind of fantastic. And it seems to be where my brain tends to go. If you look through most of the stuff that I've written with Headspace and Negative Space and Beautiful Canvas and Everfrost and Black Beacon at the moment coming out through Heavy Metal, they're all really like fantastical stories that have these elements in them that specific parts you would never find in another story, where we've just like swung hard and swung for the bleachers and just tried to see exactly what we could get away with on the page. And I mean, comics is the perfect, if you got the right artist that can do anything, and Sammy Cavella is definitely one of those. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. I know people talk about the limitless budget of the page, but there's a limit to like, you know, what an artist can manage to do. But it feels like the creativity limit is there is no limit for Sammy. He can just put anything down, and he knows how to make it work, and he knows how to also make it look compositionally beautiful, and he knows how to make it emotionally like have gravity. Like, I'm constantly marveling, and I get to see see thumbnails to pencils to inks to final colored pages, and I got to tell you, it's there in the thumbnails. He's always like, "Oh, I'm really sorry that it's just like, you know, sketchy thumbnail," and I can see every beat in these tiny things, and I'm like, "Oh no, I know it's all there." And then I just get to watch it like you're chipping away at the marble, creating the sculpture. It's exactly what Sammy's artwork is. He's just slowly refining it until it's beautiful, which is the most fun part of my job.
So do you ever have to wind up after taking a look at some of the art after it's coming through, wind up making a couple changes after noticing after you've watched your writing progress, you notice, wait a second, I need to go back to page 2. I just realized we need to make these little tweaks. Do we have to do that, or is it just this is all ready to go?
No, really the only time I'll ever give sort of art notes is where I clearly haven't done something right in the script, and so it hasn't translated across. And normally, if it's a disastrous sort of like, oh no, the wrong character is on the page, I'll catch that in the thumbnails or in the pencils or whatever. But normally it would be like a tiny little thing where I'll go, oh, and I'll go back to my panel description and go, yeah, this is junk. Like I haven't given you what you needed in there. So I'll usually, pencils is the perfect time to sort of catch that and be like, oh, do you mind? We have to factor in this thing in the background or, whatever needs to be in their hand. Usually they're fairly small changes. If it becomes anything that's sort of like plot driven or large, I will just rescript. And so I will find little beats where I can do my best to organically seed in what I need to be there. I try not to do that too much because, especially with Sammy, his artwork captures like the way the person is speaking. His artwork captures exactly like the tone and the emotion of that panel. And if suddenly I change their dialogue to something drastically different, it might not mesh. But whenever I do rescript, I'm just staring at Sammy's art or any of the artists. I'm staring at their art and going, all right, if I need to put different info in there, I need to make sure it matches exactly what's on the page. But yeah, I definitely do my best not to send the artist back to redo a page or scrap a page or anything like that. Because if we get to that point, it's my fault. So I should weather the hard work. And so I'll usually juggle away around it. But thankfully, it doesn't happen all that often. I mean, I'm not that prolific that I'm hitting a crazy monthly deadline all the time. So I usually have like percolation time on any project, so I can catch all of these things in the script. Or my editors will, having worked with Dan Hill, who is my personal editor on most of my projects and especially all my Black Mask books. He's so good. He'll spot stuff like that fairly early, and he'll make sure that there's a really great through line to what I'm doing. So yeah, I always sort of vouch for an extra set of eyes that's in editor form or external to the project. Really is a must.
So looking at all the work that you've been putting out so far, what kind of comic book artists and other writers have been inspiring you getting to this point? And is there anything coming out today that you look at and go, wow, that blows my mind?
I mean, there's so much out there that's amazing. And I find I have like 2 layers of like inspiration. One of them is like you look at someone like Matt Fraction's probably a pretty good example of this. I love Matt Fraction's writing, and I find it deeply inspiring, but I don't think I can do it. I just don't think I can do what he does in a variety of his works. I think his brain works on a different level and a higher level to what I can have access to. But I love reading his stuff, and I love like listening to him talk about how comics work and how he collaborates and all that sort of stuff. But then I find that's like, it's creative energy in, but I'm not refunneling it to push it out necessarily. Whereas someone like, I know now saying this is probably going to sound really dicky, but someone like Ed Brubaker is also another writer I find really inspiring, but I feel like I can take elements of that and sort of push it back out. I'm about 10% of what an Ed Brubaker is on the stands, I will openly admit, but there are pieces there where I know I can sort of like run them through the churn. And
he's a great writer. I really enjoy Brubaker's
effortless. That's the thing that you read. I just read the 3rd Reckless book this month. I've been waiting to get some stuff done. It was like a treat at the end. Oh man, those books are phenomenal. And just reading how
I hear nothing but good things.
Oh man, I've never heard a bad thing. That's for sure. He's just in this pocket now where it just sort of like flows out of him. And so I find it a real joy to read. But when I write, I sort of try to consciously make sure I'm not aping a style, because you can read someone's books and you can tell when they're kind of like doing, and I felt like this was fairly common. They were doing like a Warren Ellis light. You could tell that they were really trying to get that same sort of like snarky voice, and it just came off as you were trying to do somebody else. I really don't want my books to read like that. I want them to, even within each project, to feel a little different. I don't think there's necessarily a Ryan K. Lindsay voice that comes through on everything. But I certainly wouldn't know being on the inside looking out. But I want it to not feel like, oh yeah, this like he's trying to do his Brian K. Vaughan thing here. Oh, okay, he's trying to do his Kelly Thompson thing here. Oh, okay. Like I don't want it to feel like I'm seeing a successful shadow and going, oh, I'm gonna go lay in that. Go watch me be adjacent to success or quality. So when I read, there's usually just like little things that I'm really taking, and I'll even reference them in scripts sometimes. But stuff like if you start a page with like a tall panel on the left hand side, I'm always going to think of Frank Miller. Like I'm always going to think of Miller's Daredevil run. And so little things like that will sort of go in there. But if I use that in a crazy sci-fi story, it doesn't feel like I'm aping Miller necessarily. I'm learning from Miller, and then I'm repurposing it for different tone, different genre, different everything. And so it's just grabbing the tools that you kind of see around you. And that's the thing that really gets me jazzed about comics, is that it's the way the page works. It's so much fun. It's why I tell stories in this medium. It's why I read so many stories in this medium. It's why I teach stories from this medium, because it's a medium unlike anything else. It really is a specific thing unto itself. And so anytime I can find different ways to work with it, I saw Casper Wingard recently had tweeted out that he had this double page spread, and he'd said like, removing the panel borders from this double page spread was like the happiest accident ever. And it's a cool looking page. And so there's that little part of my head that goes, oh yeah, removing panel borders is a tool. Now, most of the time we know all of these tools because we've read so many comics, we know what's there, but it doesn't hurt to bring it to the front, because if you've got so many tools, they're going to end up buried. And unless you have some sort of like Matt Fraction like mine that's able to spray things out a kilometer wide and pick from it, I have like a window like this. And if there are 3 tools in front that I'm using, I'm probably missing like 100 tools behind it. So every now and then you see something, and I like to think that happy accidents occur where you see something like that at the right moment to use it in a script at that time. And so anyone that's kind of using the comic form and innovating or exploring and then putting it out or even sharing it on Twitter, that's the sort of stuff I find really interesting. So as far as like being inspired, there's definitely those writers that I mentioned. There's certainly artists like Fiona Staples' work in the Saga is the sort of stuff where it seems so simple, and then you dig in and you go, oh, there's just these little things that you do here and there. There's these little panel borders like cut in certain ways, and it's like little tricks. Elsa Charretier, which I'm sure I'm pronouncing wrong, I believe is the French version of Carter, but I might be wrong on that. Her artwork is just so brilliantly laid out. Like she knows how she wants to guide you through a page. And so the fact that she has a YouTube channel where she's thinking about this stuff out loud is so helpful, like insanely helpful. So yeah, I find just taking in that sort of stuff is the best thing that I can do as a comic creator, and hopefully it comes through in some of my work. Fingers crossed.
Definitely.
So here's another one. Now, when it comes to process, what is your process like, and what is it when it's making comics, and has it differed from how you've done it in the past?
Strangely enough, I'm breaking a story right now. And so like a publisher has asked for, I'd sent a pitch in and they were like, cool, can we flesh it out a little bit? And I was like, absolutely. So I can probably hold this up and you won't be able to see any spoilers or particulars, but I have 2 pieces of paper here and I've like numbered them on this side. Which one am I holding? This side just says 1 and 2, and then I've got 2 sections to the page. And this one says 3, 4, 5, and I've got sections on the page. So they're 5 issues. And so I will lay this out, and I'm purposely trying to make sure that the words don't appear too much, although I'm where people can pause on YouTube later on and see if there's any spoilers. I'll lay it out like this, and I'll start to bounce around. And as you can see, I've filled in number 1 a lot because it's the intro issue, and I'm sort of like, you're laying all the foundation. But I'm slowly like popping in what's in the final 3 issues because I see the story as a whole. I've already got the story sort of like fairly flowed out. Now I need to really chunk it into detail. And I bounce around when I lay out my story. And so I'm sort of thinking like, all right, well, there's 5 issues, so we need 4 like quote unquote cliffhangers. So I'm like, all right, what's going to be the stinger at the end of 1, 2, 3, and 4? I know what's going to end 5 because I know how my story is going to end. And I generally do know how my story will end. When I pitch to publishers, I like to know that I know the whole story. Again, it means I'm desperately not prolific in what I put out, but it means that if a publisher says, yeah, we can do this, I'm not going to then scramble and like hastily try to put together something that might not be my best. I like to try and really sit on stuff for a while and let it stew and let myself come at it from different ways. So that visual on page, pen to paper, not paper to pen, is one of the best ways I think, and has been for the entire decade. I can't brainstorm, I can't plot, I can't plan on a computer or digitally anywhere. It has to be sort of like on the desk. So that's one of the huge things that's kind of remained. And one of the other ones is I just ask myself a ton of questions and I write the questions down. I've noticed that if I literally ask myself the question and keep it verbal or in my head, it doesn't go anywhere. But the moment I write that question down onto these pieces of paper, I'll then write an answer. And sometimes I'll write 3 or 4 answers and then go, oh, this is the one, and I'll circle it. And I just sort of have to extrapolate what might happen. And sometimes that means going into some weird story tangents and then sort of retracing my steps like Danny Torrance through the snow and being like, I should have gone this way. And if that's what it takes, sort of that's what I'll do, so that I know that I've really got like the best angle on things. But I do find that has remained the same for me. I'd been writing comics for a few years before I stumbled across it was Film Crit Hulk, actually, who ran a blog, still runs a blog, I don't know. All caps, sort of like ranting about films and stuff like that. I find it hard to read a lot of it because it's all caps. But he was talking about the Green Lantern movie and breaking down why it was no good. And in the process of doing that, eventually he gets into a big rant about story structure and 3-act structure versus 5-act structure. And both of those I had heard of, like, and this is what I talk about. I love bringing things to the fore and sort of reappraising them. I can remember reading it and just sort of going, oh yeah, like whatever. They're both, I mean, 3-act and 5-act is pretty similar in its flow. It's just chopped up a little differently. But it was in breaking that down that I just sort of reappraised a few things. And I kind of used that at some point in my story breaking process as well, just to see if I do have that flow. Because you kind of got to go over your story a few times to make sure that everything works. Because I'll get my 4 cliffhangers and I'll get my story resolution, but then I'll look at it and I'll sort of go, oh, the character doesn't have this downfall before the end. Oh, okay, I got to put that in. And then I got to go over and go, does every character have an actual arc? What are they learning, or how are they changing by the end of it? And so then that's something I map. And if mapping that character arc changes something in the story, I got to go back and go, well, does my story still flow? Is it still satisfying? And you constantly sort of like, it's almost like kneading dough. You constantly like flatten it out and you ball it up and you flatten it out and you ball it up, and it just becomes like a bit of a repetitive process. Or at least it is for me. I'm interested sometimes because you can see some writers that maybe it's automatic enough or maybe they're smart enough, but it really flows out really quickly. But I find with my stuff, there's a long process of like Jengering it together. But yeah, it hasn't changed in a decade or more. It's always in a notebook, or it's always on like loose leaf paper that I then shove into the notebook. And ultimately, I will end up writing a story plan like a dozen times before I start scripting, which is a lot. But I feel then really happy with what I like. Every single book I've put out, I'm really immensely proud of. So, and I'm sure every writer is, but I can speak as
There's a couple of good questions from the chat, Rob, if you want to. Ignacio, yeah.
We got Ignacio asking.
Hey, he's a legend. Yep.
What triggered your in-depth analysis of Introduction in Comics? How it happens on number 1 issues and also first pages of comics?
From memory, Matt Fraction was writing about something, and he was talking about opening contracts in comics, and that the first page, it's a scene setter, it's a tone setter, it's a genre setter. It is really important because, and I teach this in class all the time, you can start a story whenever and wherever you like, and every book you've ever read, and every movie you've ever watched, and every comic you've ever sat down with, a creator sat down and thought to themselves, this is the opening line, this is the opening shot, this is the opening set of panels that make a page that I want to give to the audience. And they did that with purpose and reason. And if they didn't, well, then I would really wonder why. And so I can't even remember. It was probably like an older Tumblr post or something. So we're really going back a long, long way. But it was one of those things where it sort of made me realize, oh, yeah, like when you write a script, you do like chop and change scenes and you try to work out what's going to work best for the first scene. When you're pitching comics, you're really thinking about that. You're like, oh, I've got 5 pages and I've got to show like world, character, hook. I got to get everything in there. And so you're being really conscious as to what the best like situation and location, blah, 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 is to set all of that up. And so it really did get me thinking like how stories open and how they can be best used most effectively. And you'll see a lot of stories that the way they open is reflected in the way that they'll close. And I can't remember. Oh, no, it was Greg Pak, who's a great writer. He had tweeted years ago, and this shows you like the randomness of my brain that I've remembered a tweet from years ago. But he sent this tweet that said like, oh, I've just cracked the end of my story. So now I can finally go back and rewrite my introduction to the story. And I was like, yeah, that's actually pretty true. And I remember just last year, I was teaching a student about trying to get the end of their story to match the start of their story. And I was talking, and we're sort of brainstorming and we're spitballing as we're talking. And I said, you know, your story could end with like, at the end, they see this thing that's really important and it reminds them of their mother that has been a thread through the book. And I said, and if you're going to go with, like I said, if you use a photo, I said, that's pretty cliche. But if you find that it's like some sort of like ornament, or let's go still a bit cliche, like snow globe or something like that, all you have to do is then go back to the start of your story and just tweak a few lines or add a paragraph where the snow globe is there. And this student looked at me like dead-eyed and was like, you can do that? And I'm like, yeah, do you think stories are written like in one go? I was like, no, man, you like just, you flip back. And then I said, the coolest thing is now when somebody reads it, they read it in one go and they're like, whoa, you are insanely smart. You put that snow globe at the start and then a boom came through at the end. And you're going to look like a genius. But it's just because you had to work everything out and then go, oh, what do I need? Pepper, pepper, pepper. And you just put it at the start. And they were like,
they're all
oh,
story beats, kind of like what Neil Gaiman would do way back in the 80s in his Sandman stories, just putting little I guess we call them today Easter eggs in there.
Yes.
And you go, wow, he's brilliant. No, he just had story structure all written out and plotted out to begin with.
Yeah, they're just thinking about it. I mean, this goes way back to like the Levitt's paradigm, where he would write an issue that was like 12 or 14 pages of A plot, and it would be like 6 to 8 pages of B plot, and it'd be like 2 to 1 pages of a C plot. And then slowly you'd resolve that A plot, and the B plot would become your A plot, and it would get more page space. And that C plot that was like 2 pages becomes eventually your A plot. And because it's been going for so long, you look like a genius. But it's really just like knowing what you've got and mapping it out, which I can only imagine is exceptionally hard to do writing like monthly superhero comics. I can't imagine trying to like jump in the hamster wheel and run, like sprint. Let's be honest, it's not a run; it's a sprint for your life. And trying to work out what's coming.
Run. Hey, by the way, here's a crossover event. Throw this in. Hey, by the way, we're also going to be doing something coming up. So throw this character in. Why? I can't tell you.
Yeah.
How do you juggle?
Oh, you've got a whole B plot around this character. You can't use that character anymore. And you're like, I guess I'll just do another character with the exact same arc. Like stuff like that would be, I can only imagine, insane. Insanely cool as well, because you're playing in a pretty cool sandbox. But if you have the time to like lay your story out, then you get to see what's going to come. And then you just sort of go, oh, okay, so I need this moment between protagonist and antagonist that's going to be really gut wrenching. And it's going to tie back to what they've left behind. What did they leave behind? Where are they at the start of the comic? Oh, at the start of the comic, they're with extended family. Or what could be there? Oh, it could be a kid who's wearing like a medallion or whatever. The antagonist has now the medallion and you know the kid's dead. You just make sure the medallion's on the kid at the start of the first story. And if you haven't been already publishing, you just put it straight in there. So that idea of maximizing the start of your story just really interests me, because I do like that Jenga puzzle that is storytelling in general. I mean, at its base level, I always talk about, because, you'll get students that are like, sir, I don't really plan on writing comics for a living, so why do I need to know this? And I always say to them two things. One, you're either going to find yourself at a party and you're going to want to tell a story, and you don't want to be like, oh, I went to the beach on the weekend and there's a big wave and I think I'm going to drown. Story, hey, because that's not a cool story. That story sucks. So you're going to want to be able to sell the sizzle, right? And the second reason is eventually many people are going to want to form really intimate relationships with people on some level. And in doing that, you share yourself. That's the point. And so you're going to have to do it in a way that kind of is emotive and is raw sometimes and is truthful, and you need to be able to do that in a really not engaging as in tap dancey, but in a really connected way is probably a better term. And so no, you're probably not writing comics for a living, but you are a storyteller. We as humans naturally want to do that, and we figure out ways to do it as best we can.
That's the way humans communicate, is through narrative. That's the only way we make everything a narrative. J Hood's got a great question for you as well.
So J Hood's question is, now, do you find it difficult to fill in the middle of a story when you have the beginning and the end in mind? I find a lot of comics and TV limited series end up with slogging middle parts. Boy, do I agree there.
I do see that sometimes as happening, and I feel like when I see it happening, it's usually because the parameters of the story have been dictated. For instance, Marvel says we need a 10-episode season of X character, and you end up with 3 great episodes, or maybe 2, and then you have this middle, and it feels like then the story was trying to meet what we feel like a season of television is. I've been really lucky in that I don't think I've ever been told how long a story needs to be, ever. I went to Comics Tribe and I said I have a 3-issue miniseries, which is not really the norm, and especially wasn't 8 years ago when it came out. But I was like, this is how long the story is. Can we do that? I'll usually, all my stuff's creator owned. And so I sort of get to dictate how long it is based on what I pitch. And I've never said, hey, publisher, will you pay me to do a 2-issue miniseries? Because I just don't. I don't think the bank's there. And I've never tried to shoot the moon and go too long.
Right.
I sort of have this pragmatic view of every time I approach a publisher, they're kind of going to rub the webcam and be like, who are you again? And why are we giving you money? And so I have to bring them the best business model. And so for me, a lot of the times that's a 4-issue miniseries. So rather than take something that's epic and try to cram it into 4, or rather than take something that's half of a kernel of an idea and stretch it to 4, I break a story and I think to myself, what does this need to be to land in the most creative and innovative and emotive way? And so hopefully, J Hood, my stuff doesn't suffer from that middle slog. I am on the internet, so if it does, people can just spam the comments now and let me know. It might help me figure out how to fix it. But
funny thing, we're showing all the comments as they're coming in, and everybody seems to really like you.
That's I'll take it. Instead of I would normally deflect with a straight bat of self-deprecation here, but I'm just not going to. I'm going to say that's awesome. Thank you, internet.
Yeah. You know what somebody told me? Because we'll get these compliments and then we're like, I heard someone say, you know what? So there was a compliment given and someone just kind of brushed it off. And then the person that gave the compliment said, I'm giving you flowers. It's your choice to water them or not. And I thought that was really interesting.
Hey, that's nice.
I like
that.
Yeah. Because I've heard that when someone comes up to you a convention and is like, oh, I really loved this book you did. If you're like, oh, no, it's not that good, you're kind of saying, no, your taste is shit. Why did you like that book?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to do that to somebody. So thank you, people with the nice comments. Yeah. But as for the middle of the story, I think if you know what your story needs to be, and then you kind of find a way to stick to that, hopefully it won't drag in the middle. I like to think, in fact, probably, let's be honest, I've read many reviews. my stories seem to suffer from the opposite. I'm cramming too much in, but it's because I want like every page to mean and to matter and to have something. I try to schedule in some, I'm not quite a Mignola book where I'll have like really like slow haunting graveyards and crows and stuff, but I try to have my moments where it's about tone, but I also try to have like as much bang for your buck as you can. I figure if somebody's coming out on a Wednesday with their $4 or more in Australia, I want them to have an issue that feels like they got something out of it rather than just like 2 beats and then we move on. So yeah, I've never really had to decompress, but I also find if you look at like 5-act structure, which is a personal favorite, if you're following that along and you're putting stuff in there, it's going to fill your story. And if it's not, you're probably just not giving your characters enough to stand up against, or the creator isn't. So hopefully my work is an example of how not to have that lag, J Hood. So if you haven't read them all, go and buy everything I've ever read, and then you'll have some good options.
That's a good tip. Now, real quick, I do want to give Comics on the Mind the last question, because I know he's a huge fan, but I know you're a content creator as well, and we were hoping that Whack was going to appear, but he made something special for you, and we want to go ahead and play it live for you and see what you think, because we are that kind of Not Near Mint show. Here we go.
Love it.
Down, paper down. What do you got? What do you got?
It's a narwhal.
Narwhal, bitch, it's a narwhal. You never seen a motherfucking narwhal, huh?
I don't know why I didn't see that coming. I was like,
oh my god!
I blindsided by like what should have been blindingly obvious to me. He's a good bloke. He is a top bloke, and it makes me laugh. Yeah, that was fun at a convention to be like, do some origami with a piece of comic page, and I was like, oh god, but you got 30 seconds too, and I'm like, oh god, not that creative.
That's awesome.
Gold.
I love
it gets in your head though. I haven't heard that in months, and now I'm just gonna have that like stuck in my head for the next week.
Play it again.
Narwhal.
Play it again.
Okay, we're gonna have to. And then Kirk, think of your question.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Down, paper down. What do you got? What do you got?
It's a narwhal.
Narwhal, bitch, it's a narwhal. You never seen a motherfucking narwhal, huh?
Oh, he has a Kanye.
It really ends strong.
Oh.
Oh, gold.
Looks just like him too. And
Yeah, I nailed it totally. Yeah. You can hear me scrambling. He's like, "What is it?" And I'm like, having no idea of what I've just done with my hands." Gold.
All right, Kirk, go.
Okay, well, my question is on the character Van. Like, I instantly fell in love with that character. She's just like this badass woman at a time, trying to get back, her son's DNA that she created. Like, I'm just curious, like, what was the inspiration behind, or whether any inspiration behind, like, the creation, like her creation?
Yeah, originally it was purely visual. So I just sort of had this image of her in the snow, kind of like walking in a very like empty landscape with this kind of like giant sword on her back. And it was after reading Lady Snowblood. Obviously had a bit of that visual in mind, but this character was very different. Like I could instantly tell it was like this futuristic landscape. And so when I get stuff like that pops into my head, I just start like asking questions. I'm just like, well, who is she? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, where's she going? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe she's trying to get somewhere. Wait, what's she leaving? What's behind her as well? Let's map both ways so we can get backstory and we can get forward. And so I slowly just started to like pull out things. And I'm like, all right, snowscape, where are we? Are we in Alaska? Has Australia turned into a snowpocalypse? Are we on another planet? Like, what's going on? And so I keep just asking questions and just drawing things out. And so as I'm getting a feel of her, and by extension her life and world, I just sort of had this image in my mind of like, imagine if you like went into deep freeze like 100 years ago, and then you kind of like came out and you looked at the world around you, would just be so jarring in the most shocking of ways. Like, I don't know that you would sort of pop up at the moment and be like, all right, future, you nailed it. Like, there's so many things that would be problematic around you as you would see them, especially to the mind of someone from 100 years ago. And so I was like, all right, well, I don't want to necessarily tell that. I want to get that feeling. where you kind of like not necessarily put into deep freeze, but you left a place and then you come back after a period of time and it's basically gone to shit, and you sort of go, what happened? Come on, I ducked out for a minute or a few
it's great
years.
because you only give us like a little bit of a taste of like what happened, and that's what like kept the
Hints of that battle.
like, yeah, that's what kept me like reading, like, and coming back for more, you know.
Yeah, that was where, like, and a lot of my stories, I'll do this. I'll have this big thing, and then I'm like, well, my character isn't going to solve society. And I don't know whether that's just my pessimism now, where I'm like, neither can we, as in the singular, each person. So then I'm like, well, what could we do? So instead of her sort of taking on necessarily too much of a like hyper global thing, I'm just like, what would be the most personal affront to returning? Because you can disappear for 100 years and come back and be like, who is the president of the United States now? The what is in the aerosols of the pandemic? And just be like, oh God, you can't do much singularly about that. But Van comes back and she sees her son. And we showcase in that first issue that the last time she saw her son was when he died in her arms in a horrific flashback. And so seeing him again, you would think might be like this homecoming, but she's seeing him multiple times because he's cloned, and these clones are being used basically for sport. Like you are introduced to these clones of her son in this like gladiatorial pit. Basically, it's an aquatic gladiatorial combat against like this weird cephalopod. And so she sort of instantly knows, well, someone's got the DNA and they're probably like using it for lots of other things as well. This is not a reunion. This is a travesty. And so, you know, I could spoil my own stuff by now. At the end of that first issue, she buys those clones and just sort of kills them and leaves them for dead, because it's heartbreaking and it's horrifying. And you can't make a direct connection to like how we would respond to like something now, because it's so sort of abstract and sci-fi that it's not directly one-to-one. But I did have a reader reach out to me who was like, oh, I got to the end of that issue, and when Van does that, it just sort of shows that she's heartless, and I can't, like, clones have feelings and I'm not down with this. And I was like, that's a great read. Like that's your read on the story. I said, that's like, I'm down with how you want to view that. Absolutely. My sort of intention of it is like, it's not necessarily more about Van and we're dehumanizing the clones necessarily, but if we can see that these clones are being shape adapted, size adapted. Yeah, Ignatius just said like they're tiny. Like we can see that they're like they're problematic in their creation, and they're just kind of like tools. They're for sport. It's pretty horrifying, but it does speak to Van's sort of mindset that she's just like, no, this speaks to a bigger societal problem that is probably happening, and it's something that she can't take on the personal, and she can't necessarily affect beyond that, but she will do what she can to make sure that her son's DNA is not used and abused anymore. So it's a tough like line for her to move forward, and it doesn't necessarily paint her as like a perfect hero, but it tells you how hard things are in her life and in her head to come back and see that.
Yeah, even in the last issue, not to give away too many spoilers, you kind of find out that she's not all this evil person. She's like this. She has love in her heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that was great. That was great to see. I'm gonna say like I was attached to what's his name 8.
Yeah.
I was a little sad at the end of issue 2. I was like, oh, you killed them all.
Spoilers, man. I only have one so far.
It's been out for a minute.
We just want to tell you how then, or what happens beyond that.
Yes.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I don't want to make character choices too clean or obvious or anything like that. It's kind of like, it's gray. I think a lot of my stories deal with this gray middle. Headspace deals with like this gray responsibility that the character has. Negative Space deals with this gray choice.
Sounds like what you're doing is you like to create moral dilemma where there could be a number of different reactions and none of them are necessarily the best one.
That's it. And that's how I view life, even on the like the micro things.
Yes, that's every fucking thing in life.
Everything we do is problematic in a way.
It's
great. It's super great. And it doesn't mean that anyone's perfect. That doesn't mean that anyone's evil. I don't know. I'm rereading Salem's Lot at the moment, and it's great in that it spends 200 pages with 0 vampires, and it just talks about the small evil of a little town, and that everyone has their own little problematic evils, but none of them are evil people. They're lowercase e evil actions, and they're problematic situations that they get caught into, and you see it everywhere. And it's such a brilliant piece of writing.
And there are emotional vampires as well.
Yeah, like that's the thing. We're looking at, we have all these choices sort of available to us, and none of them are really great. I mean, I try raising kids in a world where I'm just like, we have a house and we have, access to free education. We have all this sort of stuff, and heaps of people do not. And you're not going to do anything about it. And it's just like, you have this sliver of you into the world, and you can maybe affect what's in there, and you kind of have to like forget about the rest, otherwise it becomes mind-numbing and crushing. And we're going to use the internet, even though every device that is utilizing this internet is probably using parts that were mined somewhere in a country that we don't even know about is happening. And you could say, well, I'll eschew all of that and I'll live a perfect lifestyle, but you cannot escape it. And so it's about little victories, and it's about best intentions, and it's about continuing to try. And I think that's why I like stories that have character growth, because I think that's all anybody can hope for, is that you're better than yesterday. And whether that character ends the story ends up anywhere close to perfect never really interests me, because anyone that proclaims to be is getting it wrong. Is
my
really
last name isn't
best.
Best.
Yeah. So I don't know. I find that sort of like, and I find, independent stories and strange esoteric stories a really great space to dig into that, where you're not trying to put ideals forward and you're not trying to look for that pitch perfect note. You're just trying to look at somebody. Like, I always find characters interesting that just don't give up. Like, they're just going to keep doing whatever they can in a situation. I mean, I just watched Infinity War with my kids just this month, and they had so many questions around like, well, why doesn't Thanos want to do this? Why doesn't he want to do that? Why doesn't he have a better solution? When the Avengers attack him, why don't they do this instead of what happens? And it's just sort of like, I always translate it to happen. But basically I was like, to be honest, the scriptwriter sat down and was like, well, I need to make sure this doesn't happen because we need a second movie. So there's those limitations. But then there's sport. You can have the best team play one of the worst teams, and there's a chance the worst team can win, because no one's going to play perfectly. You get caught in a situation and you are going to have reactions and you're going to have flaws. And I think that that's the sort of real thing we should have. And you can say to someone, hey, when you saw Thanos there and you threw your axe at him, why didn't you hit him in the head instead of the chest? And it's just like, well, I don't know. I was throwing an axe at another living being. I was kind of just like responding in the moment. And so I think that's like, yeah. And I when I rewatched it, it had the captions, and I didn't realize Thanos says you should have aimed for the head. I thought he said you should have aimed for the hand, which I thought made perfect sense. If you slice that off, have you ever tried to put the wrong glove on the wrong hand? He's not going to be able to get that in there and click.
I would think you should have been happy you hit anything at all. It's a fucking axe, not a gun.
Should have been the handle bouncing off, and everybody has a chuckle. That seems more in tone with Marvel. So yeah, it's like those things where no one's reacting perfectly in every single situation, which means we're going to make mistakes, but it also should open us up to being like, learning to be okay with being fallible, and just sort of being like, you know what, sometimes stuff's not going to land.
Unless the nature of man is fallibility.
Yeah.
But
and if you can represent that in your stories, I think that can be powerful.
Now, Ryan, we thank you so much for coming. We're coming up on the hour here. We want to give you the last word. Now, where can people find you? Are you appearing anywhere? Is there anything coming up that you want people to know about?
Yeah, I always say just pump Ryan K. Lindsay into something and you will find me, whether it's on Patreon or Twitter is like the main place that you can find me. And from Twitter, you can link to my site or to my weekly newsletter, different places like that. So they're the main areas. I don't really use Facebook or Instagram much, which again is an ethical choice. But then it's like, well, how ethical is Twitter? Like, what are we talking? But we take our small stands. But they can find me wherever they like with the Ryan K. Lindsay in there. And hopefully in the next year, you'll see a bit of me. I've got the Everfrost trade coming out supply chain willing during February. But my Twitter will no doubt update specific dates. I think it's a week and a half or 2 weeks until Speed Republic launches, which is a new comic that I have done at Mad Cave Studios with Emmanuel Parascandolo on art, and it is a phenomenal car chase comic. There is 5 issues all ready to roll out starting in Feb. And my story with Sebastian Perez in heavy metal called Black Beacon has 1 more installment to go in the magazine, and then I'm certain we will have our trade out before year's end. And then there will be a very exciting graphic novel release with Comics Tribe coming up later in the year. That is some of the most beautiful work I've been able to get into a book with another Australian, which is awesome. Louis Joyce. Him and I have put together this insane martial arts, just fight comic, which is something different to what I've ever done before. But Louis' work is so kinetic and amazing, and he's illustrated and colored it all, and I've just proofed it this last week, and it is just I cannot wait to get this book out. So it's a big year with a few different things on the boil. So hopefully some people will be excited, check some things out, and enjoy what they read.
Thanks so much for stopping
Last
by.
thing Ace wanted to mention, because they are running around doing some family stuff down there. One of the teens I work with wanted me to mention that Everfrost reminded them of Henrietta Lacks and how her DNA was stolen and used without her consent, and how her family would react if we had this tech.
I love a good real world connection. It's nice to be able to take a story and put it into the web of the real world and go, well, these things aren't just made up sometimes. We're seeing
so
serious...
Can I pop in here? So the cell specifically that you're referencing, and so it's not necessarily like it's her DNA, but Henrietta Lacks had a very aggressive form of I think ovarian cancer or uterine cancer or something like that. And so these cells are the cancer cells that was used to establish an immortal cell line, and they're called HeLa cells. HE for Henrietta, and then LA, Lax, HeLa. And so this model is a cellular cancer model that has been leaned on heavily for some of the most prominent and impactful revelations in science. And so literally this woman that didn't have any consent, basically these cells were used to make some really powerful discovery and save lives. But the question is, ethically, was it even their call to create an immortalized line? That there was no consent. And so it's very interesting because in that case, I would argue, I would think the family should be compensated monetarily. But I also think that HeLa cells have been used for the greater good. Now, that's arguable. That's just my opinion. But in something that sounds like this DNA is being used to make murder clones or whatever, or just fodder for sea monsters, that just sounds inherently wrong. And so I could really identify with the moral conundrum, and more I could probably identify with her wanting to slay them, just because there's no quality of life there, and they were created for bad things. I just feel like the HeLa cells, however, have contributed to the understanding of cancer pathologies. And now that we can ameliorate some of those, there's just a little bit less suffering. And if you get that, man, life's painful enough. So I like the concept of being able to, reduce the pain from disease. Sorry.
On that note, thank you so very much, Ryan, for coming on the show. Anytime that you want, if you have something to promote, if there's something coming up, if there's a Kickstarter, if there's anything, you are more than welcome. And as well as the rest of your crew, the artist Sammy Cavella, colorist Lauren Affey, letterist Jim Campbell, and editor Dan Hill. You did an amazing job on this book. I can't wait to pick up 2 through, well, everything that's up to date.
Fantastic. I appreciate that, mate. And hopefully, yeah, I'll definitely love to be back on at some stage. That would be really cool. I appreciate you reaching out and having me on. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much. Now, we don't know what your schedule's like. We wind up doing a little segment called Comic Book Therapy, where we show the new books that come out from week to week. But I know that you're a busy man doing, you probably have to go and write or probably get back to some kind of work because it's the middle of the day in Australia.
I should check in on my kids. Uncle Netflix does a good job, but you know, the algorithm can't always be trusted. So I am going to go be a more active parent, but I'm going to check the end of the show later on YouTube because I want to see what you guys had bought.
Oh, and for those that stick around to the very, very tail end, we're going to have a very special moment of Zen that was prepared by, well, Whack Comics. Lee.
Ooh.
Hey, Kitty.
Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty.
So, Ryan, thank you so much for coming. We're going to go ahead and start doing
we
our next
appreciate it.
segment, and that segment is called Comic Book Therapy. So here we go. Thank you very much, Ryan. You have a great night. Good luck on the next project.
Nice.
Cheers, guys.
Let's see it.
All right, so here we go. It is called Comic Book Therapy, and this is what we do. New comic books of the week. Here they are, Comic Book Therapy.
So, what exactly is the problem? Tell Dr. Wurst. It's Swole Black Cat. I see her in my dreams. It is okay. Swole Black Cat cannot hurt you. But what if I want her to hurt me? What? What?
All right, I've been waiting for this today because it was a very, very thick week. I thought it was going to be a very, no, it was heavy. So did y'all pick anything up this week?
I didn't.
Nope.
Rob was texting me and he was like, he's not here yet. This is the latest he's ever been. I don't know. And then,
Oh, my shop, yeah.
and then
It's
like 2 minutes later, he's like, oh, he just texted me and said he's going to be late.
So yeah, I love my shop. I love my shop owner, John. The shop I go to, Miami Fresh Comics, over on Instagram. When I first started going there, would get there at about 12:30. Then it was 1. Then it was 2. Then it was 2:30. Now it's around like 3:30. So when it's like 3:35, I'm over here going, "Oh my God, Caroline! Holy shit, he's not here yet. Is it Wednesday? I'm
And
not
what did I
sure.
say? What did I say?
You'll get your babies."
Yeah, exactly. I said you'll get your babies.
Better pull a.
You got your babies.
I got all my babies. There were a lot of babies.
Okay.
So did anything else come in the mail or anything for you guys down there?
Nope.
No,
Oh, we're
I
gonna
did
do
read
a
a
very-
digital comic though, and it grossed me out.
What
What
was it?
happened?
It was called Annis something. Anyway, it's about this bisexual polyamorous woman that was like a real person, and then she starts talking about her relationship with her father, and then they have a relationship. Like
No,
they
I knew it.
one
I knew it.
publicly date and everything.
That was Anais Nin, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
Yeah, I love Henry Miller. I read Sexus Plexus Nexus. I was a fan of that work. I'm a pervert, but literary pervert. And Anais Nin, I read that. And then when you told me, yeah, she was sleeping with her daddy.
Yep.
And I forget all that now. Damn it, things I wish I knew that I never knew, that I would never wish I knew. Ooh. All right, so lady, do you want to show some books?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to blow you all up.
Here are the new release pickups I got today, and then I'll show you guys the back issues I picked up. Animal Castle, number 2, B cover. I really like this little splinter looking dude.
You got
He's
the
got a lighter
Francavilla
up.
cover.
Huh?
You got the Francavilla cover. That's the one I ordered but didn't get.
Well, did you get the A cover?
I got the A cover.
Oh, maybe we'll trade if you can just calm down.
I'm calm. Ish. Ish.
Miles Morales, issue 34. forgot. I don't have issue 33. They have it at my LCS, so I'm gonna go pick it up. Whenever. Moon Knight 7. I like his little tux. Incredible Hulk 3. Nakayama homage.
Ooh, I did not see that.
That says classical homage variant edition. So now I'm all interested to see what other ones are going to come up. But anyway, I don't like that. This Silver Surfer Rebirth #1.
Sorry you didn't have a good day today, Planet Arizona. This is the therapy time. You get to see what you might get to pick up tomorrow.
And then I got the B cover, which is Peach Momoko. And I really liked this one.
That is gorgeous. Wait, that's not Momoko. That's Chung. There was a Momoko that was a really nice one.
That looks like Peach Momoko to me. Isn't that her thing? Or is that Chung?
I think that's Chung.
Okay. It could be. Sorry.
I don't know everything. I am the worst.
Correct.
No, you're
You
not.
guys correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, actually. So sorry. Sorry. I was wrong. Okay.
I didn't
This
get
one
the
I
Momoko.
know for sure who it is. Adam Hughes.
Ooh.
She-Hulk. #1. Pretty girl. No Momo. He say it's no Momo. Not the peach. Not the peach, not the no Momo. It's the Chung. Okay. All right. And then here are the back issues that I picked up. For some reason I only had the second print to #10, so I wanted to get the first print. But this is the newest run of Captain Marvel, issue 10. Defenders 51. This is an upgrade copy. I put the other copy, which is not super bad, in your pile, Rob, since you said you needed it.
Ooh, pretty.
Yeah, there's Moon Knight is in this. So Moon Knight joins the Defenders for a few issues, and 51 is one of those issues.
Is that the last issues that he's in, or
Is it 51 or
46
52?
through 51.
51, okay, yeah.
51 is the last one, as far as I'm
Yeah.
aware.
that's what I
46
figured?
through 51. I think I have 52, and it's a fight between, like, I want to say Namor and Hulk or something. Something. I got Avengers 165. Just like anytime these Avengers come in during the the 160s and 170s, I'm really trying to 150s through 170s. That's what I have to like patch up. So I'm trying to patch those.
I'm gonna see if I have any extra copies. Let me know which ones you're missing.
Look what I found.
What you got?
Black Panther.
Oh, what issue?
Nice.
#12.
Dang.
Y'all,
I need to finish that run.
I only need 2 more issues of this from this run, and I'll have the whole run
That's
of
awesome.
Jack Kirby's Black Panther.
That's hot.
I need issues 10 and 11, and after that, I'll have the whole shebang. You just creamed yourself.
That's
This
hot.
came in the mail recently.
Oh, what issue?
Issue 8 from
Nice.
Fractions, Invincible Iron Man.
Most wanted.
This run got an Eisner. And then this came with it.
Ooh, what a great cover.
The variant. Pew, 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 pew. And I already had a copy of it. And then then issue 11 came with it.
Oh, nice. It reminds me of those War Machine, Punisher War Machine covers.
And then I had 2 copies of issue 11 or 12.
Damn.
So there's that. And then this is the last thing that came in the mail. This is okay. I got Thor 186.
Oh, nice.
Look at how badass, like, she's
Oh
aging
God.
him.
Poor Thor.
Yeah, she's like, the time's come to die.
Is that a
And he's
banger?
like, Hela, do not cast thy spell. Thor must not perish now, for if I fall, then who will stop your messed up ass, the murder of the universe, by the world beyond? So just look how wicked that is. Yeah, sit on those, Air Spider. Those are some good Iron Mans. Psh, psh.
Unbagged.
No, oh my God, unsheathed. I just love this though. So I picked up this, and then here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. I'm thinking about sending it into CBCS for signature verification. But like I did a bunch of like research and comparison, and I think this is for real.
What is it?
Oh
No!
that is real.
Fucking way. Where the fuck did you get that? Where the
I'm sorry.
fuck did you
So
get that?
Ace, look away. Look
Sorry,
away.
Ace.
Okay.
Warning, 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 warning. Banger alert, banger alert. Holy fucking shit. Look at that fucking book. Oh my fucking God. Look at that fucking book. Oh my fucking God. Look at that book. Jesus. Jesus. Oh my God.
I like turtles.
Don't we all?
I got this off of eBay from a guy who said that he had just bought the contents of a shut down comic shop and that they had a lot of signatures. And so there were a bunch of Stan Lee books, rando books, all signed by Stan Lee. And I looked at all of those different ones, and then I went and I looked at all of the like CGC and CBCS verified or whatever Stan Lee's, and I think this is legit. I think this is
That's legit.
So like honestly, I'm seriously thinking about sending it into CBCS and getting it slabbed, and then just getting the signature verification there, because they do that.
Let's find out, lady. Here's another real, absolutely real Stanley Sig. Now let's take a look at yours.
Look. Okay.
Yeah, that's a Stan Lee signature for reals.
For real. They do
For
look
reals.
like. Oh, hey, Planet Arizona. They had so many randos, but the thing is, but also they had some good ones. The thing is, the more rando it is, the cheaper I got it. And so I was like, dude, this is beautiful. This is beautiful art. Does it have anything really to do with Stan Lee? No. But I'm telling you, I got this for a good fucking deal. And I think it is the genuine article. I don't think that that's fake. But anyway.
Now you think that it's rando, but look at just what happened in the last couple days when we wound up having that Moon Knight #2 first fucking Harrow.
That's
Harrow.
stupid.
Who the hell is Harrow?
Well,
That's gonna
like-
drop, but people are paying $100 for that now. Imagine if
had,
we got that signed by Stan Lee.
They had like random like newish Thor books, like Thor books in the 400s, newish like Iron Man books, some Avengers books, like all kinds of weird books, but they were all Marvel, and like Stan Lee had signed them. And there were a couple where it's like, damn, I wish I had that one, because it was actually like a legit book. Like there was one that was an older Avengers book, and it was just exactly I got it because I thought, you know what, this is beautiful. It's dark. The signature pops, you can
It's
see
high
the
grade.
contrast. And y'all, this was $30.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
Lady, when I was a kid, I got this signed by Stan Lee, and it was cover price $1.95, and that's what a kid that was 12 years
Well,
old could
hold
afford
that
then.
one up to it too. Let's do a comparison. Double. I think it's his.
It absolutely is.
I think it's his, guys. So, and like, honestly, like, I do want to I want to send it to CBCS, get the verification, and then just be like, yeah. Can you believe it? Anyways, that's it. Show your stuff. But like, I never saw this happening in my life. Kurt, if you
Yes.
want me to, I can give you the eBay seller's name who has this because he's got a bunch more listed, and
Yeah, let me know.
he starts them all at $25. And so like, and he's got like a 99.6 rating, and he's like, sold a few hundred stuff. So yeah, but like I definitely would love to have this slabbed and then CBCS signature verified, and then I'll just know, and if not, like, it was $30, who cares?
I've thrown away money at like much, much stupider things. Not to be included with that Moon Knight 2 that just became $100 yesterday.
But like this, I also like this is a book that I got from that same guy. Like they had some bangers that eBay store that had the Stan Lee SIGs. So it's like they had a massive list of Stan Lee signed books, but they also have some really good like silver and bronze stuff too. So like I don't. Thank you. So I am one happy little lamb.
Lady, much like you, I did something similar earlier last week where I saw this guy. So we know that Lily Hollister, no, not Lily Hollister, Kafka, Dr. Kafka, that's who it is. She's going to become the new Goblin Queen, I guess, in ASM.
Ooh.
And her first appearance is way back in Spectacular Spider-Man 188. I bought it off eBay for $15, but I didn't like the shipping charge, but I saw something else he had. And what was it? The first appearance of Ulick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
So he had it at like $50. So I offered him 30. He comes up 40. I go 35. Sold. So really, I paid almost nothing for that first Dr. Kafka.
Yeah, this was
by comparison.
This was like $15.
Worth it.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I really wanted this because I figured I'm not going to get Journey into Mystery 102, which is the first appearance of Hela, because I'm probably not. But so I resolved myself to the fact that then I want to get some older badass covers with her on it. And so seeing this one with Hela and then like Thor molting into like a little corpse.
I'm an old man.
This is the shit. This is the hog's balls.
Greasy fries or Stan Lee SIG?
Greasy fries or Stan Lee SIG. So man, let me look it up. If you guys, you know what, I can look up that name. Do you guys want me? I'm gonna find the dude and I'll
share screen. I'll bring it up.
Okay, Rob. What I'll do is I'm gonna go here and then
God knows I have enough books to show tonight.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do then, Rob, I'm clicking on his thingamajigger. I'm copying Command C and then putting it in the private chat, and then you can like click on it and then go to his thing and look at his little.
All right, so here we go. We're going to do a share screen with the Casper's back on eBay. So here we go. This is his page. As you can see, a 99.6 positive feedback.
with 2,871 sales.
Oh wow.
That's
Too negative. That's inconsequential when
Yeah.
you're looking at this many sales.
Yeah.
So what are we looking for here?
Go to items for sales. Click on, he says, guys got 1,200. And then just type in at the top Stan Lee, because all the autographed Stan Lees will pop up. You see, he's got 27 different books on sale.
Random ass stuff like Cap Wolf.
Yeah,
I
some of them
love
are really
Cap Wolf.
badass, but like people are gonna bid on that. Like
Is it
the
on,
ones
a
that are, I
first
think, in
page?
higher demand. Go back and check out some other ones. Yeah,
Where do you sign it?
Battletoads. I love that game.
it's on the cover.
Oh,
Do you not see it?
I didn't see it. No.
Oh, it's on the cover. See, look on the shield.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
That's not a great place to have them sign it.
Well, you can't tell Stan Lee that. You just let him sign the fucking book.
Here you go. You ruined the cover, but it's my signature.
Yeah.
Excelsior.
Go up. So
Get out
scroll
of here.
over.
Enough said.
Yeah, that looks like Stan Lee, dude.
That is definitely Stan Lee.
All of these look like Stan Lee.
I'm trying to see which one I want.
That is. Oof.
That's a great one to have.
That's Marvel's greatest comics.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Thought
you
it was
guys, you
fantastic.
know, I've just give the guy's name is, what is it? Let's
Going back, this is
Casper's back. So Casper's back. You guys, he's got 27 Stan Lee SIGs up for sale. He starts them all at $25. You want one? I just
Go to a comic book store and have them do a signature. You can't go to a convention and have them do a signature. Those days are gone. This is the only way you're going to do it. If you want to afford it, that's a pretty damn good way.
So this is how I find. I am not a rich person, but you can always find a way. I'm like a fucking truffle pig for comics. Just call me a truffle pig. I will sniff them out.
We're all little piggies here.
All right.
And speaking about being a piggy, I guess
There
it's
you
time
boogie
for me
boogies.
to put on my comic book hat here because it's time to show a little bit of comic books that came out today. It was a lot. We're going to start with the independent books. Now let's switch over the cameras and I'll show you what I got. So here we have Animal Castle issue number 2. This is the A cover that came out.
If
That's
you want
a
to
nice
trade,
one.
we can do that. I can put the other one in your pile.
Done and done.
Yeah. But you know that the one I have right now is better. Just as long as you acknowledge it.
Yeah, it's Francavilla, then you're accurate. So very accurate. Here's House of Slaughter number 3. I know this came out the other week, but I got the B cover. That was on order, so I finally have the A cover.
nice.
Here's
They're
King
real, or
Storm.
he has a Stan Lee auto pen.
He just has a stamp with Stan Lee on it.
No, he actually says in one of his descriptions somewhere that like he just bought out all the inventory of a closed comic shop, and they had a crap ton of different signatures from different authors. Because he's got other books for sale there that are signed by a bunch of different like authors and writers and artists or whatever. So, anyways,
Yeah. Well, that's the Spawn. I don't know if that's A cover or B cover, but this is the other cover. So there's your A and B for Spawn. And I'm only collecting these so that in hopes that one day I can trade it away for something I actually give a shit about. Hey, Lady Mechanica number 2.
hey,
First
lady.
issue was kind of fun. Here is Righteous Thirst for Vengeance number 4. That just dropped today. Rick Remender. Here we get some Teenage Mutant Punk Froggies.
Nice ribbit, bitches.
I love the detail on this. Next up, we get, and I can't believe this is still going, but we only find them when they're dead, issue number 10. And if this doesn't finish up after this, I'm pretty much jumping off. Now, we have an announcement to make. We're going to be having creators for We Ride Titans appearing on the show in the next couple of weeks. So
Heck yeah, we are.
I had to pick this up today. I know this came out last week, but somehow my shop didn't get them in. They came in
cover.
today, so I snagged mine.
I like it.
Those were my independents that came out. And of course, I picked up this Everfrost because the second Ace texts me, hey, Ryan K. Lindsay confirmed, hey, I have the book in my hand.
He was super cool guy.
Yeah.
Great. And he's a content creator too, guys. So if you go look him up, he does stuff on YouTube as well. Who we have? Oh yeah. Chip Zdarsky is writing himself a Batman origin story.
Oh,
It starts-
Zdarsky on Batman. That's never happened.
This is you I can't wait to read it. This is like top of my reading pile. I did not realize it was Zdarsky that was doing the writing. So of course I had to pick up the cover B that's by Capullo. Way to go, Greg. Great cover.
Oh, I saw that one too.
All right, next up is Blue and Gold issue number 5. We're at about a little more than the halfway point of this series. And I think I like it as a mini-series. It works better that way. This is a book that I have a pretty good feeling will shoot up by the end of the week because Catwoman is going undercover as a stripper. Yeah. And then for the same kind of story, we get a Friesen cover. It's just a basic Friesen Catwoman cover. She does great covers, but this one just feels very kind of Maybe that's just me. Now, this guy, Irving Rodriguez, has shot up in my list as far as writers go. This guy, or artists. This guy was contracted to do 12 covers for Detective Comics, and we're only a couple covers in, but I have never seen this guy's artwork before, but consider me a fan for life now. And then we have the B cover, which is nice, but the other one's just, ooh, so much better. I love you, Bergermo, but really. Ooh.
That one looks intense.
From an
Who is
artist
that?
perspective, it's just the technique. Which one?
The person, the
What?
face. No, the person face. The female face.
So the face is by Irving Rodriguez,
Who's the character?
and this is a new fine artist. The character, Ace.
The character face.
You know who this is? I think it's Huntress, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's
100%.
Huntress.
Oh, okay,
There
cool.
you go. Oh, that is just gorgeous. This is like my cover of the week.
We might be having that artist on the show.
Shut the front door.
Possibly.
Are we really going to be getting Irving? Really?
Possibly.
Nope. Stop talking. Go to jail.
I would fanboy out. I really would. Green Arrow number 10 or Green Lantern number 10. I don't know why I said Arrow. Next up, we get the Redondo back on Nightwing. This has been a great little storyline by Tom Taylor. Next up, Nubia and the Amazons. I read the first issue. I'm waiting till it gets all the way through issue 6 before I read the rest.
That's beautiful.
It is. The next cover is going to be really nice. Here is Supergirl. I don't think this is the last issue. I think the next one's the last, or maybe this one's the last. Let me know in the chat. Just a gorgeous cover. Next up, Superman, son of Kal-El. This continues on after the cute little gay kiss that, well, the son of Superman shared with a really cool dude by the name of Nakayama.
Cute little gay kiss. Mm.
And now he's super woke Superman. Take that. you
Oh,
stupid
shit.
right-wingers. We're going to love your dislikes for that. We also don't care. Also, we have Wonder Woman, the latest issue.
Mommy like.
these are always cover buys for me whenever it comes to these B covers. And there was a
Marvel
Wonder
X.
Woman Evolution. Wonder Woman Evolution 3 came out today. I didn't get it. There was a B cover that was just really beautiful looking, but I missed it. And I'm trying not to collect every single cover for everything because, much like the line goes in the movie Clerks, sometimes you have to let that hard to reach chip go. But not when it comes to Marvel, because Marvel was the big. Here is Amazing Spider-Man number 86. Some Zeb Wells doing the rating on this book, which I'm really digging this book a lot more now that Nick Spencer is gone. But it is more of a Ben Reilly book clone. It just is. Sorry, not sorry. Ace keeps teasing us, and I kind of love it.
I love teasing
You're
people.
so mean.
Ear Spider 23 says, possibly, Rob, don't blow just yet. 7 is the last issue for Supergirl, says Rose Gray. Thank you so much for that. Now I can finally start reading that Tom King series. Yay! And Rose Gray reads just almost on the par of Ace over here, going, okay, I read volumes 1 through 17 today and 8 other volumes. Like, oh my God, you two should get in a room and just read.
It's that NB energy that we have.
That must make sense. And yeah, that World War Wonder Woman cover almost looks like Peggy Carter as Wonder Woman. 86 was definitely a cover, but yeah, this almost reminds me of the cover of Torment that came out back in the 90s. Only Torment had a nice black cover. And this one's just really pretty. I'm sure people will be liking it for generations to come. And Art
Just
Adams.
like you.
Oh, thank you.
Meow.
Meow.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Avengers number 52.
Oh, I can't wait to read it.
Now that we have all these
one.
doppelganger evil Avengers and a Wolverine that has bone for eyes.
It's silly.
I'm curious.
That's so good.
Oh, hey, now we're getting another Ben Reilly series. This one
Nope,
isn't even.
nope.
Yeah, I just got the first issue, just the first issue, only to discover that this issue is a flashback.
No.
But hey, there's always the second print
What?
of Black Panther by
I
John
still need
Ridley.
issue
That's
one.
so fucking
I still need that
beautiful.
one. That's a great.
Oh my
cover.
God. You didn't
Did
have
you
that.
read issue 1 already?
Yeah, the first issue is
good?
pretty good. It starts off where, he's the leader of the Avengers, leader of Wakanda, and he feels like he's failing everybody, and he has these sleeper agents throughout all of the world, and he starts calling them back in because one of them gets murdered, showing that somebody knows. Oh my God, wait, T'Challa doesn't trust anybody? Can't see any reason for that. Hey, Defenders number 5. Is this the last issue, or is there one more? This has been a really good.
My LCS only carried number 1, maybe 1 through maybe 2. I just haven't seen them.
Oh, that's unfortunate, especially considering it's an Al Ewing book.
Yeah, I just have the first 3 issues. I don't know why it's not on my pool.
This, I have a feeling, will be
The
blowing
Black
up.
Knight.
Yeah, we had that
So-
today. I just didn't pick it up.
This is one I'm looking forward to reading because the last time we saw Black Knight, it was him and this new girl that turned out to be, well, his daughter. Sorry if you didn't read the
Mama.
miniseries, but she died at the end of the miniseries and also took on the mantle of the Black Knight. So now they can kind of trade off. This is where it picks up. Eternals 9, and if I'm being honest, I haven't read the last 3. It just hasn't been catching me much. Maybe it'll just all go to Ace. Ace loved the Eternals movie. I got through 30 minutes and went, I got to go to sleep last night. I'm sure it's good, but I started watching.
Is that like a second print?
It is a second print.
You shithead. You're getting all the cool things.
I ordered this on FOC.
Oh, did you? That's
Yeah.
fine.
I can throw it in your pocket. Here is Hulk number 3, which is supposed to have some cameo appearance of a null-like character, whatever that means.
Yeah, that's the variant I got that was the Nakayama homage.
Yeah, I loved your cover. This one is good just because it has Wolverine in his very, very, very classic uniform. So classic. I mean, it looks like he's wearing sunglasses with the little thing to hide his bushy hair. Now, this was one of the few back issues I picked up today. It's not a key, but holy crap, man, it has all of his rogues.
So pretty. Absorbing
so
Man.
Oh, that's great. I need that one.
Like a 7,
That's so
7,
good.
5. It might even be an 8.
Is that Man Thing?
No, it's about me.
I don't think so.
No, the thing on the right.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, this guy. This guy, I think, is one of the old Marvel monsters.
Oh,
From
what's his name? Oh, I can't remember his name.
Grog or Grok.
The Mandalorian? Another Mandalorian, but the Mandarin.
The Mandarin. It looks like
All
the
the way on the
Mandarin.
right
The green.
in the green.
Oh, yeah. That's Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you have Rhino. There you have Abomination.
Abomination. And that's Absorbing Man.
Abomination.
Yeah,
Oh,
Absorbing
Absorbing
Man
Man.
over
I
here.
love
Yeah.
that.
I just don't know who that is.
Shit turd.
Yeah, I
Looks
don't
like a
either.
doo-doo turd.
Shit turd man.
Or the person in the middle.
Shit turd man.
Here's a character that is
Shit turd
getting some
man.
traction lately. Marvel 2-in-1
Brother.
with brother Dr. Jericho Drum Voodoo.
Mordor.
All right, next up we get Miles Morales, issue number 4. I only got the A cover. I didn't know if there was any other covers because
That's the only cover I saw.
Oh, and I'm seeing here from Planet Arizona that Eternals is very good. It's probably the most beautifully shot MCU film to date. I would agree with at least how it looks, but I still need to finish the movie before I comment.
I liked it. I've watched it
love
twice
it.
now. I'm probably gonna watch
Yeah.
it again.
Lots of variants, lots of ratios. I only need just one copy. Unless it's certain books, which is like one of which is coming up.
Stick
So-
those ratios up your poop chute.
I don't do ratio. It better be on FOC cover price, like Moon Knight number 7.
Doyle Dormammu.
And people were asking earlier today, so where should I start reading Moon Knight? Well, you could read this new series. It's good, but if you really want to start at the beginning with the Doug Monich series from back in the 80s, one that goes 1 through 38. Now, this is a gorgeous cover that came out today by Raza. It is all white. It's already going for about $20 on eBay. This I got from FOC. When you see Raza's name along with Jeff DeCall, you just know, don't
see
even
Raza's
if it
name,
doesn't show you the
get
picture.
it.
You don't even need to see a picture.
Raza's ill.
I don't think there was a picture advertising this. Picked it up just because of the name. Next up, we get Phoenix Song Echo.
Yeah. So I'm like, if I did FOC, I would pull all like Simone Bianchi covers.
That's smart. We have cover A of She-Hulk.
Oh man, mine only had the Adam Hughes variant. That's the only one they had. They had like 3 copies of it.
Yeah, I imagine that whenever Hughes winds up appearing on an FOC and it's cover price, they're going to order more of those than anything else. So when that happens, order the other variants.
I'm gonna go tomorrow and see if because they'll probably have out more of that, because that's their MO. They've been like spreading it out 2 days.
That makes sense. Silk, I wound up giving away the entire last mini-series over to Rufo and his daughters, so hopefully they like it. I never really got into it. I don't know why I bought this first issue. They were just pretty covers. They'll probably be going to Rufo's daughters.
I almost bought that one,
Nice.
but I didn't. I was like, I don't need this shit.
It's just one more thing taking up space.
Yep.
Hey, Silver Surfer Rebirth.
Yeah, now that's the good shit.
The Peach Momoko cover, I did see one there, but it was damaged, so I left it there.
Mine is No Momo. Mine is Chong, I think you said.
Is that a new Silver
That's a
Surfer
great
series?
one. Which one?
The Silver Surfer book. Is that new? Or
Yeah,
is that...
this is the new miniseries.
And Ron Lim's on it again.
What the fuck? When did this come out?
Today.
Today.
I've been slipping.
There were plenty of these at the shop. I don't think that this is going to be spiking this week.
Gotcha. So, I see he's not black anymore.
Yeah,
It's just like tradish.
He's been denullified.
Yeah.
Well, they had a new writer writing them, and they didn't want to do that
Oh.
no more. Hey, here's something that I didn't realize I did not have in my collection. So I picked it up today.
Yeah, I need that too. That like blew up.
Yeah, I got mine for $12.
Not bad.
That's good.
These were in dollar bins.
I know.
Just
I
like
had multiple times to get it, but I didn't.
this thing is already going for $20 online. It's the first cover appearance of fucking Gaslight. Gas Lamp.
I don't think I have issue 15. Did 15 just come out today?
It just came out today.
Shit. All right.
Just tell your shop, God damn it, where's my copy? Just like Venom, I got 2. Regular A cover. Spearhead, I guess that's his name. They're running out of names. But this one here was just a cover pickup. I wonder why.
No clue.
A very special issue number 4. Special. I don't know what's so special about issue 4. We have Kingpin's Thunderbolts here in Villains for Hire, number 1. I like the cover. Even if the book sucks, cover's badass. All right, last 2 books, and of course they're X-Men. Oh, actually,
What
this
is
a cool cover.
this? Another Wolverine story or book?
There's X Lives and X Deaths of Wolverine, each one being 6 issues. They're doing like a Hawks Pox.
I almost got the mosaic one, or like the collage one of his face.
And the last book I picked up today, X-Men, part of the Devil's Reign. I don't know who wrote it because this is the variant edition. And if I'm picking up a variant edition, it's something that better have either Kitty Pryde or, well, she also appeared in the same issue for her first appearance, Emma Frost. And those were all the comic books that I picked up today, folks. So I want to thank y'all for watching us. This has been another episode of Not Near Mint. And going around the room, lady, is there anything coming up on your channel or anything that you want the folks out there to know about?
Think you and I'll probably hang either Friday or Saturday, show some stuff. Other than that, I'm just chilling. I think I'm gonna be on Comic Gories next week or something. The next time we do a full Comic Gories, I'm pretty sure they told me I had to be there like a week ago. They said in 2 weeks.
Winter Games or something like that.
I don't know, but whatever.
Hey, so all you people out there, if Comic Gories is on, F in the chat for Lady F and vote for Lady Fantastic.
I'm not trying to influence you.
I am. So Mind Shift, anything coming up over on your channel? Are you doing the show with Gorilla Todd tomorrow?
I hope so. I'm gonna give him a call tomorrow, and so hopefully we'll have something. But if anybody has not caught the show I did with JP Budget Collecting on Invincible, we've just been talking about the Invincible story that we reviewed issues 100 to 108, I think. It was a hell of a read, and I can't wait to get back on it and read some more.
Don't we have like 20 or 30 more issues left?
I know, and I'm about to get to my favorite battle, which I've already read, which is Omni-Man versus Battle Beast. Oh, or is it Omni-Man or is it the other dude? So, you know who I'm talking about, though. The ex-leader.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and that's not going to turn out nearly as well as you think.
Oh no, I seen I saw a famous eyeball get chomped. That's all I remember.
I'll put it this way: there was a song that was sung in 101 Dalmatian. See my vest, and instead, see my scarf.
Oh. No. Oh God.
It's very soft.
God, I can't wait to
Sorry.
read.
Ace, anything coming up over on Twitter or anything that you want the community to know?
We write some stuff for Comic Book Yeti in the future. Don't know exactly when, but doing that. And outside of that, I'll just be tweeting dumb shit on Twitter and educating people as always.
Hell yes.
Hell
So, on that note, everybody, thank you so much for coming out, especially those that are the live viewers, replay viewers. We love you too. We're going to be back next week, same time, same channel. And let me see here because I did pull this up. Next week on Wednesday, we will be having Tony Fleece and Trish Forstner from Stray Dogs. Hell yes!
For the third time.
For the third
Well, I
time.
hope Pony Stark makes an appearance.
I want Pony Stark. And on that note, we're going to end the show here. So thank you all so much for coming. And Tony and Trish next week. That's going to be awesome. So
I'll have good internet this time. Yeah.
good internet. Good internet. So smash that like. Don't forget, I'm going to be showing something right after this. So
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to see this episode again, along with a catalog of back episodes and issues, surf on over to Not Near Mint on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe and hit that bell for notifications.
here it is, your moment to zen.
Like I just feel it.
Love you. Good night.